rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. So, I'm not exactly sure, but apparently there is a person over on Rumble asking, why did Whiskey Warrior's name go away? I'm not exactly sure what you are referring to, but the Whiskey Warriors still exist. The name of the show changed from Whiskey Musings over to American Perspective with Rick Thomas. And the reason why I did that was because I felt that it did two things. One is it put me into more of an alphabetical order, put the show into more of an alphabetical order. And second of all, it more accurately reflected kind of what was going on. So, you know, what I am doing with the show. It's not that the Whiskey Musings logo or any of that stuff has gone away, because it hasn't. Okay, it's still there. It's just in a little bit different packaging. Let's just put it that way. And someday, I still have plans to potentially bring it back if the show ends up taking off and getting longer and, you know, more involved during the week or whatever. Then yeah, it will come back, I'm sure, the Whiskey Musings in some form or another. And the store still exists, as a couple of people have already seen and determined. They are looking to get some shirts here pretty soon, shirts and stuff like that still have the Whiskey Musings logo on them. So it's not going anywhere, really. I mean, it's just hidden right now. It's not really out in the open at the moment. And I still, all of my socials are still under Whiskey Musings in some way, shape, or form for the most part. I do have an American Perspective X account, but and the name on Facebook did change. But other than that, the places that I couldn't change the name, they kept. It kept the Whiskey Musings, which a lot of my detractors that are out there have pointed out. They're like, hey, you need to go back to drinking whiskey. You're an idiot. Anyway, whatever. I don't care. They don't count. They don't count at all. But all of my fans, the P1s that have been around forever, they are still called the Whiskey Warriors, and they will continue to be called the Whiskey Warriors for as long as they wish. That's just the way it is. And of course, you know, my nickname is Whiskey. Some people still refer to me that way. They still call me Whiskey. So, yeah. And like Bonnie points out, when I drink, I think, period. That is correct. When I drink, I think, which is the old Whiskey Musings motto. And it's still the motto for today, because I do. I mean, I'm one of those interesting kind of drinkers. I drink for fun. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, there's times when we're having fun and stuff like that I'll drink as well. But I also have what would be my wife, Mrs. Whiskey, would consider my brooding periods, where all I want to do is just sit in front of a fire, whether it's a campfire or a fire in the fireplace, and just sit and muse and think. So that's what's going on. So hopefully, Holly, you have gotten your answer to your question. But speaking about that, I have a question of the week for tomorrow as well. And thank you for that, buddy. It's more of a personal one, so that's cool. But I will go ahead and answer that tomorrow, of course. So anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight, speaking of Mrs. Whiskey, tonight's on tap for the Pledge of Allegiance is Mrs. Whiskey. And we're at the bottom of the order for tonight. She comes in, she's the caboose. She brings in the end of the train. and then we go and start back over. So if you know where you are in the order, we're back into the normal order, just because we had some added. But anyway, which is good. I want more added. I need one more because right now we're at 19 total, and I don't like odd numbers. I want even, please. So if you haven't submitted your Pledge of Allegiance yet, you'll find out after the pledge how to submit, or where, I should say, to submit yours. So let's go ahead, Mrs. Whiskey, get things kicked off. And if you are of mine, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with my beloved Mrs. Whiskey as she recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And, of course, I thank you, Mrs. Whiskey, for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing or reciting the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and either share it or send it via email to me. Send it off to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will, of course, add you into the rotation. Like I said, we're at 19 total right now. I'd like to get 20, so I need one more. I like even numbers, so let's get one more to 20. All right, tonight's headline sponsor is theflagshirt.com. They are still, this is the last chance you're going to get this. They are still on their Labor Day sale, where if you use promo code 20, that's the word 20 spelled out, TWENTY, you will receive $20 off when you spend $100 or more at theflagshirt.com. Now, of course, what they also do for you is if you spend $75 or more, which is a part of that $100 or more, you will get free shipping. So this is like a double whammy here. So you get free shipping, you spend $100 or more, you use promo code 20, and you get $20 off your order. So head on over to theflagshirt.com and check out all of their men's, women's, kids, accessories, all decked out in the red, white, and blue, not to mention some other patriotic stuff like the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution of the United States, iconic American landmarks such as the Lincoln Memorial, the Liberty Bell, Mount Rushmore, things of that nature. You need to go and check it out. Go check all of it out at theflagshirt.com. But I know not everybody can afford $100 or more of shirts, or maybe you just want one. Maybe you just want a particular shirt. You're not interested in all of them. You just want a single one. Well, if that is the case, then what you can do is you can go ahead and put that shirt or that item in your cart and then open up another window in your browser and head over to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. That's flagshirt.americanperspective.online, and you'll be presented with a coupon code that you can copy and paste into the promo code box at checkout at theflagshirt.com. When you do that, you'll get $5 off your order on American Perspective. Once again, go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online. You'll be presented with that coupon code. Copy and paste that coupon code in the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com. And you'll get $5 off your order. Head on over to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Well, I don't know if anybody remembers 1984. I had to reread it a couple of years ago. In fact, I even talked about it extensively on this program It might even be under the old Whiskey Musings program, but anyway. 1984 and George Orwell had a definition referring to a specific language type, which basically was known as doublespeak. Now, doublespeak essentially is a language style that deliberately distorts, disguises, obscures, hides, or even reverses the meanings of words in order to mislead and manipulate. The Democrats and the left, they are very, very good at this. That's why people who are essentially low IQ, low, shall we say, low intelligence, low IQ, low, easily manipulated people like the left are able to get into when their leaders and all of them, they all start doing their doublespeak. And they jump in and they're like, oh, yeah. And they just sit there and drool, all over their cookies or whatever. And they nod and yep, that makes sense. The mainstream media is another one that's really good at that. And that's what they do. Okay? That's what they do. Now, all of that being said, you also need to understand that Democrats and leftists, when confronted with a specific question, a direct question that they are supposed to answer, that they should answer, and they should answer honestly, but they won't. One person who is really good at getting leftists to completely ignore, and Democrats, to completely ignore the truth is our old buddy, Scott Jennings, over on CNN. And, Scott Jennings. So, I don't know if anybody noticed, but Iowa, unfortunately, had a Democrat. They voted in a special election. They voted in a Democrat. And she flipped the state Senate seat. And it broke up the Iowa GOP supermajority in the state. I don't know why that happened, but I mean, it's an off, it's an off year. It's a special election. Special elections and off-year elections generally do not garner the same attention from the electorate as others do. That is a verifiable and known fact, which is why this midterm election is going to be really important for all of us when it comes down in 2026. But they were talking in particular with regards to the flipping of the seat and also inflation. And Scott Jennings is talking to another CNN panelist. And of course, Scott Jennings kind of, he's very good at calling these people out and saying, hey, here's the reality, here's the truth. And this is an exchange that they had on CNN with regards to, what happened? I lost my, here we go. With regards to this entire situation. So let's take a listen to what happened in this quick exchange.
And making it very clear around public education and what's happening in our communities. And the Republican candidate actually could not articulate how they're helping people. And at the end of the day, the reason why Republicans are terrified right now is that they cannot articulate a policy agenda. She was abundantly clear. It is too expensive living in America right now when nearly 60% of Americans do not have $1,000 in their bank accounts. She won a district that the Republican had won by more than 10 points himself when he ran previously, because at the end of the day, we are saying we will help you pay your bills while Republicans are just driving up your bills.
And again, Democrats around the country look at this as a reason for hope. Scott, there were fewer than 8,000 people who voted in this election.
Yeah.
But how nervous should it make Republicans?
Well, it doesn't make me very nervous to hear Democrats with a straight face looking into a television camera and saying, boy, how did we get to this affordability crisis? given that we all know how we got there over the last 4 years.
You're right.
And the president
and the disaster of Donald Trump. You're absolutely right.
So you're saying we had no affordability crisis during the Biden years?
I will say that.
Where did the inflation come from?
You know, this is the difference between someone who led policy in the White House and someone who talked about it. So Republican presidents.
You can't answer the question. Did inflation go up or not? Did inflation go up or not?
Inflation has gone up.
Did inflation go up under Biden or not?
Republican
Be
presidency.
honest. What's killing your party is a failure to be honest with the American people about why you lost the last election.
Michael, you go.
Here's the
Scott.
issue.
Michael, you go. Then
here's the
Scott.
issue.
Then we'll go to, hang on, Scott. Go ahead, Michael.
So to the question, at the end of the day, the reason why they just lost in Iowa is that they cannot articulate how they're helping people pay their bills. Simply put.
It's a special election. Here's the reality. It's absolutely true. Democrats now have more voters who are regular voters in non-traditional elections, specials, off year, what have you. That's absolutely true. And so you've seen a pattern of Democrats doing better in these elections that don't happen in a regular occurrence. They have more voters who turn out every time. Until Republicans solve this, it will continue to be a problem, but it is not determinative of a regularly scheduled election or a presidential election. So I think there's a danger for Democrats to overread it, but Republicans shouldn't underread it either.
Scott Jennings, Michael, thank you both so much for being.
So just to make things clear, very clear, what that Democrat pundit was unable to answer, or I should say unwilling to answer, is the fact that while inflation is up, it's up because of the fact back in 2021, inflation rose to a 40-year high of 9.1%. That's what the answer should be. That people don't seem to understand this, and I really don't. No matter what happens, okay, the bank, the Federal Reserve has built in a target inflation rate of 2% year over year. Now that's a positive 2%, meaning that things that you pay for are going to increase in price in an ideal world at right around 2% every single year. They've baked it into the calculation. Okay? And so no matter what happens, as long as we're running around 2%, the narrative is going to be that inflation is stable. Okay? The only way for us to reverse any kind of inflation would be to have a negative inflation, or what's known as deflation. And so regardless of what these people are trying to say, and this is why in this particular case, this is a doublespeak situation, because this person is saying, well, yeah, prices are going up under every single Republican president, blah, 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 blah. Well, he totally ignored the last 4 years where it increased to a 40-year high of 9.1%. We can't recover from that. We can't. The only way that we would ever, quote unquote, recover is if we ended up in a deflation situation. And what that means is that percentage that everybody talks about in terms of inflation would be in the negatives. We would have to go back down. If you want to return to what Trump had under his first term, which, by the way, was an average of around 1.4, 1.5% inflation. So, considerably lower than the 2% inflation that is the target. Okay. So essentially what ends up happening is in order for us to get down below what Biden caused in 2021, we would have to deflate for many, many, many months. And that's the thing. You can sit here, Democrats and leftists, any of you haters that are watching this program right now, if you want to sit here and talk about inflation and how, oh, things are up so high under Trump and they're going, Trump is just receiving a horrible economy from a leftist, a moron, a Democrat known as Joe Biden, who raised the price of everything just below 10% in one single year of his 4-year term. Quickly raised. And so the only way for us to get into a situation where inflation is actually going down, like I said, we would have to be in a deflation status or negative values in an inflation world. So you can talk about, oh, you know, Donald Trump is raising prices because of tariffs. No. The prices have already been raised. The prices have already been raised. Donald Trump is just working within what he's been given. And he is doing what he can to try and lower prices and lower costs for Americans, including things that he can control, such as taxes and those kinds of things, government spending, which will eventually filter into the inflation market. Because, again, inflation, for those of you in the back row who have a hard time hearing, inflation itself is caused by one thing and one thing only, and that is government printing and spending money. That's it. So the more that Trump saves us, the more that Trump can reduce the cost that government is running under, in other words, that deficit, the more he can reduce those, the more inflation will drop. All right. Well, with regards to the whole thing about crime, I've got two or three things going on here. First of all, just if you recall, last night I played that video of that one young lady who basically threw the gauntlet down to Pritzker and to the mayor of Chicago to come and walk on the south side where she lives. Okay, where she lives. Well, now there's another person who has come out on video and basically is calling out the whole thing with regards to crime in Chicago. Let's take a quick listen. Now, this is a long clip. I'm only going to play the first couple of minutes of it, but it'll give you enough for you to understand where actual Chicagoans, I think that's pronounced correctly, Chicagoans feel in this particular situation. Take a listen.
Well, actually, I mean, it's dangerous. It's dangerous late at night. I mean, we operate until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And this past weekend, we saw 3 young kids get assaulted, just around them, sucker punched them. We heard about a 5-year-old child being shot in the head. Over 30 people shot. Multiple people died of their injuries. The city's not safe. For the mayor and the governor to go on TV and use us as statics, as numbers. I mean, we're human beings. We're talking about real time. To compare what happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, doesn't matter. What's happening right now, real time. Mom who lost a 5-year-old child doesn't care how many murders were done in 10 years ago. What he cares about right now. And the Safety Act that's been in place for 2 years already, and it's hurting the city. It's hurting the county. I mean, they keep releasing these violent offenders. Even winning the election on more of a pragmatic prosecutor. Now that we have somebody that's willing to put people in jail who committed violent repeat crimes, the judges continue to release them. The request of for detention to keep them there, they keep ignoring it and releasing. So we're headed in the wrong direction. We've been heading in the wrong direction for years. This has to be curbed. If they cannot amend the Safety Act, and then it should be removed from the books.
So there you go. That's from a gentleman who owns a restaurant, obviously, and basically has essentially, and he continues and says, we're tired of the crime. We want law and order. If President Trump could help us prosecute these violent repeat offenders, any gun crime should be prosecuted by the federal government. So he's basically calling out these people. And he's essentially saying that, hey, you're not doing the job, folks. And that's the point. Democrats are going to doublespeak and hide and obscure and say, oh, yeah, take a look. They go down into downtown like Governor Pritzker did, get down on the Chicago River in the early morning when crime has statistically been lower. By the way, time of day has a huge effect on when crimes get hit or get perpetrated. And he goes down in the morning and he's like, hey, look at this beautiful day that we have here in Chicago, Illinois. And this is awesome. And don't forget, you know, he doesn't pan across the, I don't know, 15, 20, 150, whatever it is, security guards that he's got cleaning out everything before the presser. But he goes down there and he says, look, we have a beautiful and safe city. Yes. And yet the minute that they go away and they take all their guards with them and they walk away and they don't walk down in the streets at night or even in the proper places within the cities where all the crime is happening. Well, Gavin Newsom, he's literally trying to set himself up for a run in 2028. I guarantee you that. Well, he did a presser. And he continues to try and like do all these things about trying to like troll Trump and everything else. Well, apparently he's been told or is realizing that this is a bit of a problem. That crime actually is a bit of a problem and that he needs to potentially address it. Well, he was at this presser and he was talking about crime and he announced a new initiative. Now, here's the thing. I'm just going to, this is a common sense question that you need to think about when you're looking at these people who do these doublespeaks and so on and so forth. Okay. If crime was not a problem, then why would Governor Newsom have to announce new crime crackdown operations? If crime was not an issue, then why does he need to have his state patrol, the CHP, California Highway Patrol and State Police, to be deployed to places like, San Diego, the Inland Empire, Los Angeles, the Central Valley, Sacramento, and the San Francisco Bay Area? And he's sending them specifically to places that he said that would literally require crime suppression. His quote. Now, let's take a second and I'm going to play this clip from Gavin Newsom from this presser. It's about 30 seconds long. Let's take a listen.
And this is more my own observation. This is more of a tonal observation. I don't think it's a very good argument to make that, well, we're down 15, 20% when you still have people whose cars are broken into. You still have crimes being committed. You still have murders. You still feel unsafe in certain parts, in certain communities and all across this country. So I think we have to be very careful about that. And I'm
So Gavin, who was talking about, hey, Donald Trump, he doesn't need to send the D.C. or the National Guard in because, you know, we're fine. Crime is coming down. Do you remember that? You remember that? Crime is coming down. Crime is coming down across the board. I mean, never mind the fact that in terms of D.C. in particular, they caught their own police department captains and chiefs and God knows whatever kind of rank there was that were juking the stats. Never mind the fact that, you know, cutting back on police, you know, defunding the police was really a smart thing to do. Yeah, no. Yeah. So anyway, so apparently Gavin Newsom has gotten the message now. Well, at least for the moment. Do you remember when he went on his podcast and he was saying, "Oh yeah, you know, the trans problem. I mean, girls and boys or you know, boys and girls sports. Yeah, that is unfair." Yeah, Gavin Newsom flops like a fish. He's flipping and flopping and doing all kinds of things, and he's going to flip-flop again. He's flip-flopping right now because he was saying, no, we don't have crime here in California, where there's a great place. And yet now he's calling out specifically that these operations are going to be targeted. So in other words, he's going to target specific areas of his state to go and get it. And he says they'll be data-driven. They'll be focused on the basis of intelligence gathering that's coming from different law enforcement agencies, on the basis that these existing task forces and existing relationships, and these will be unannounced efforts. Oh, yeah. Yep. Now, he was asked in the presser why the surge was needed if crime was down. And, like usual, he didn't answer it. He didn't answer. And reporters pressed him on whether the deployment of the additional officers signaled that he believed crime was still a serious issue in California. Yeah, he walked away. He walked away. Yeah. He's like, I'm done. I'm done with this. Yeah. So, sure. Crime is down. But yet it's not. Crime is down, but it's not. No. Crime is not down, folks. They just want you to think that crime is down. And it's not. It's not down. The people know that it's not down. They know this because they live it every single day. All right. So, yeah, let's go ahead. All right, before I move to my next topic. So, you all know that I get up every morning and I have a big old cup of coffee. I have a 16-ounce cup of coffee. It's a ceramic mug, beautiful porcelain. It says, "Father like no other." It was a gift from my 2 children for Father's Day some time back, and I've used it every day ever since because it's a precious gift to me. But it's also because it's a damn big cup of coffee, and I need that coffee in the morning. That's right. Well, if you still haven't tried 1775 coffee, now is your shot. They have the 1775 starter kit that has dropped. There's a limited number of kits available. In each kit, you'll be getting a bold, dark roast that hits hard. You'll also get to try the smooth medium roast, as well as their Vitality mushroom coffee that has clean energy and laser focus with no crash. All of these coffees are single origin, small batch, toxin-free, and mold-free. Plus, you'll also be getting as a part of the kit, my favorite, the gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. You'll also be receiving a frother, strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions on just about everything. You'll also be receiving a black 1775 tumbler. It's $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for just $99. This is for the ones who have been watching 1775 coffee blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler alert, it is. Go to 1775, those are the numbers, 1775coffee.com/studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Go to 1775coffee.com / for those of you that don't know, that's the question mark key on your keyboard, Studio, STUDIO, and grab your starter kit. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that actually stands for something, just like Rumble does. Go to 1775coffee.com / studio and grab your starter kit before they are gone. All right. So I don't know if anybody heard, and it was actually kind of interesting, but Kamala Harris, she announced through a spokesperson that, hey, Trump revoked our Secret Service protection, and, yeah, we don't know why. We have no idea why. Yeah. Well, here's the problem, sweetheart. What they don't tell you, or what she didn't tell you, is that, first of all, Kamala Harris was the vice president. The vice president does not receive Secret Service protection, technically for life, or at least 10 years. They don't get that. By law, they only get it, they're only supposed to get it, I should say, for 6 months. So technically, her Secret Service protection should have ended in July, like right around July 21st. Well, the problem came into play that the minute that Joe Biden knew that he wasn't going to be in office anymore, he apparently put out some sort of an executive order or whatever that extended her Secret Service protection to 18 months rather than the requisite 6. Now, keep in mind, by law, if there were a credible threat against the VP, the the Secretary of Homeland Security could extend the Secret Service protection for a limited period of time until that threat has been either diffused, goes away, or eliminated. That's not the case here. Joe Biden extended Kamala's Secret Service protection for 18 months, knowing that's an additional year on top of that 6-month period. Well, Trump finally found that out and is like, wait, hold up. No. She needs to get that yanked. So rather than, Kamala Harris, of course, trying to trash Trump, trying to trash the Trump administration, saying, all of a sudden my Secret Service is yanked, which, by the way, it's not going to get yanked until September 1st. Okay, the change of the month. She's got it for another couple of days. Because it's going to take them time to, pack things up and that kind of stuff. But Donald Trump was like, hey, wait a minute. No. That isn't supposed to happen. Legally, she's only supposed to get 6 months worth of protection. She's had way more than that, and it's time for her to go. Now, of course, there is some that are suggesting that she is complaining about this because she's about ready to go on her book tour. Yes, she is going to go out on her book tour to hawk her book. What is it? 107 days or whatever. That's the title, I guess. Yeah. Yes, there it is. 107 days. She's set to kick off her tour for her book. And, yeah. She's apparently supposed to, according to the information, she's supposed to visit major American cities during its opening days, including New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. So, yeah. Anyway. So former presidents, when they leave office, this is the difference between the president and the vice president. Former presidents, when they leave office, they get security details for themselves and their spouses for life, unless, of course, they decline the protection. Now, to be clear, Doug Emhoff and his Secret Service protection got removed in July, according to the Wall Street Journal. So, there you go. I mean, she's going to say, I have no idea why that happened. Yeah, she knows. She knows why. Or at least she should know why. If she doesn't, well, yeah, we understand that. Well, this one will file in the, oh, that's not happening, but it's good that it is. And this guy's a real piece of work. I'm just going to tell you. This guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He goes by the name of Mark Elias. He's a moron and a lawyer, and he tries to sue on all different kinds of things, leftist things. Well, you know that whole period of time here not too long ago where we were talking about how non-citizens are voting, and we're talking about voter fraud, and we're talking about why the Democrats want illegals in their states. And by the way, all those illegals that have commercial driver's licenses, and every state that uses a driver's license as a proof of who you are, without proof of, oh, I don't know, something like being a citizen to go and vote. Yeah, you remember all that? You pile all that on top, and now you sort of understand, okay, now we kind of get, and of course we got to lump in the whole idea of whether or not illegals are going to be counted in the next census. That fight hasn't even come about just yet. Well, leftist lawfare shark, and this is in the Federalist, leftist lawfare shark, Mark Elias, is now suing to help non-citizens vote. This is what the guy looks like. I mean, he just looks like a dweeb. Anyway, he's suing, his law group is suing again. He's attempting to kill an Ohio law aimed at blocking foreign nationals from voting in U.S. elections. So, let's not even just mention the fact that Mark Elias is a Russian collusion hoax peddler. He believed, Shifty Schiff and all of those idiots. But anyway, so they're now pushing another federal lawsuit. The complaint, filed on behalf of a liberal voter rights organizations, plural, claims that Ohio's new law requiring documented proof of U.S. citizenship before individuals may register to vote at the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles threatens to disenfranchise thousands of eligible citizens. Now, keep in mind here that the law does actually no such thing, just like the Voter ID Act, which was attempting to be pushed through Congress, blocked, married women and people who have changed their names from voting. Yeah, that didn't work. Well, I mean, it didn't get passed, but yeah, that wasn't what the thing said. And I've gotten into it with a few leftist morons who haven't read the law at all. But anyway, this particular Ohio law does no such thing, and the lawsuit may well suffer the same fate as a similar election law complaint this same law firm filed in Wyoming. So, Red, Wine, and Blue and the Ohio Alliance for Retired Americans argue that the law included in the legislature's transportation funding bill violates the National Voter Registration Act and the U.S. Constitution. They say that HB 54's new proof of citizenship requirement imposes unnecessary obligations to register to vote in violation of the NVRA. HB 54 violates the U.S. Constitution because it is impermissibly vague, giving no guidance as to what constitutes sufficient proof of U.S. citizenship. Both the federal law and this is the Ohio Secretary of State, by the way, in response, says both the federal law and the Ohio Constitution prohibit non-citizens from voting. But now dark money groups represented by D.C. operatives are challenging a law that prevents non-citizens from registering to vote at what he calls the BMV, which I'm assuming is the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles or something. And a Bureau of Motor Vehicles maybe is what they call it. Anyway, so last month, the U.S. District Judge Scott Scavdall, anyway, found that the leftist group that Elias was representing in a similar lawsuit in Wyoming lacked standing. Scavdall, who is an Obama appointee, ruled that the election integrity deniers had no business challenging what was in Wyoming as HB 156, which, like Ohio's law, requires prospective Wyoming voters provide documentary proof of citizenship and residency when registering to vote in the state. So Scavdall wrote in a 17-page decision that under Article 3 of the Constitution, the exercise of judicial power is confined to cases and controversies, which requires plaintiff to establish a personal stake in the outcome. That is known as standing. So the lawsuit in Ohio was compared and has essentially the same baseless boilerplate language from a Democrat Party abetting law firm opposed to basic protections against non-citizens registering and voting in U.S. elections. Elias insists that providing voter ID to prove citizenship is a significant barrier to voting. This is nothing unusual for them because of the fact that they can't seem to grasp the basic knowledge that every American has, that if you want to buy alcohol, if you want to buy cold medicine nowadays, if you want to buy anything that requires an ID, that's no different than having it the same way to have it to vote. How is that any different? Excuse me. How is that any different than going to register to vote and having your ID there? I just don't. I don't understand this. This just doesn't seem to make any sense. That having an ID like a driver's license is a significant barrier to voting. Well, whenever you ask a leftist or a Democrat about this thing, okay, a leftist or a Democrat, they all tell you the exact same thing. Well, black people don't know how to get an ID. And that is essentially what's called the soft bigotry of low expectations, which is exactly what the Democrats are. Racist, bigoted, non-tolerant, violent. That's what they are. So, yeah. So a year ago, LaRose, who again, just as a reminder, he's the Ohio Secretary of State, found and identified 597 individuals who were registered to vote in Ohio despite not being citizens of the United States, as their state constitution requires. He referred the information to the Ohio Attorney General, Dave Yost, for further review and prosecution. 2 weeks before November's election, Yost had announced grand jury indictments against 6 foreign nationals accused of illegally voting in Ohio. Each is accused of illegally voting multiple times. Again, that goes back to that, oh, it's not happening, but it's good that it is. So, yeah. Anyway. So, according to records obtained by the Federalist, there was a 78-year-old, I'm not going to name names, but the 78-year-old, she pleaded guilty to an indictment against her. She asked the court for intervention in lieu of a conviction. So she's out on probation. If she completes her probation. Her case will be dismissed without conviction. There's another gentleman who is accused of illegally voting as a non-citizen. He has moved to have the felony charge dismissed. That motion is pending. Trial date is still yet to be scheduled. There's another one who is charged with illegally voting as a non-citizen in 2020. His trial is set for October. Another one allegedly voted as a non-citizen in 2020. Her trial is set for October 6th. There's another one charged with illegally voting as a non-citizen in 2018. And her motion to dismiss was denied, and her trial is scheduled for December. Now, one of the indicted individuals is not going to face charges because he passed away in 2022. But that individual illegally voted in 2014, 2016, and 2018. Folks, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you right now. These people, the leftists are so lost. Speaking of the left, the left talks about, oh, we're the party of tolerance. We're the party of inclusion. We let everybody in except if you're a white, conservative, family-oriented, believes in biology rather than the other stuff, Well, anyway, you want to talk about these people. They're violent. They're just violent. They're straight out violent, okay? Here on Hot Air, as expected, Tarantifa celebrates another trans shooting. So these people, and you can look at the screen, this is an image of several of them. I'm telling you, in the animal kingdom, bright colors generally mean stay away. Almost all poisonous creatures, for the most part, have bright colors. It's just a warning. Anyway, they apparently are, glorifying the fact that this trans shooter in Minnesota did what he did. Oh, which, by the way, I'm just pointing this out. Apparently, somebody on CNN is mad that we're not using the proper pronouns for this person. Even Stephen King pointed out that the proper pronouns didn't matter, that it was the gun that was the problem. No, folks, no. I'm telling you right now, it's mental illness. That's it. Doesn't matter whether they were trans. Doesn't matter whether they're not trans. To want to go and kill somebody indiscriminately without cause, to eliminate innocent people, especially children, is literally a mental illness. I'm just saying. I mean, that to me right there would just qualify as a mental illness. Well, anyway, these people, apparently have all jumped in and are now, they're all over social media and they're talking about getting an army together and so on and so forth. Here on Facebook, there's a page on Facebook called the Trans Army, has 500,000 followers. They were all livid, of course, when Trump won. They were talking about building a trans military and telling people to buy guns and saying that a day of vengeance is coming by forming a real on-the-ground militia to prepare for what's coming. And they say they're not the violent ones. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I mean, these people... When Luigi Mangione assassinated an innocent man and was shot in the back, that was the guy that got shot for the healthcare thing. The left erupted in solidarity. Yeah. When Audrey Hale, who was the one that shot up the Christian school in the Covington Academy, her supporters went to the Capitol and declared her to be a victim. I mean... Seriously, folks, this is just... These people are sick in the head. They need to have They need to have their mental stuff taken care of. And by the way, Andy No, who is a Portland, Oregon independent journalist, he points out that one of the draws for all of these extremists to come to Oregon and Washington is that the taxpayers cover all the medical and cosmetic procedures. It encourages these people to be unemployed so that they can claim the benefits while rioting and protesting full time. Now, I want to ask the question, which again, I still have people who don't seem to understand this, but I really need to understand, why are my tax dollars going to that? Why are my tax dollars being spent on that? I mean, the federal government has nothing in the Constitution. I'm still waiting for some leftist to go ahead and put, something on the lines of where in the Constitution the federal government is supposed to spend all this money on health care, social programs, all of that stuff. I'd really like to know where all that it comes from. I have yet to have anybody try and prove it. I had somebody try to attempt talking to me about the whole science thing, but as I pointed out last night, that covers patents and copyright. That doesn't have anything to do with spending the money to pay for the research. Well, for the last, and actually let me, oh, there I go, I get blipped out. There I get blipped out. I got blipped out. Don't worry. On Rumble, it blipped out. And let me see, is there anything here that I wanted to, nope. All right, so my last, oops. I know, for some reason, I don't know why that happens. It always happens right around the top of the hour. I don't get it. Anyway, my last thing, for all of you out there, all of you leftist lunatic morons who want to jump on the whole bandwagon of minimum wage and raising the minimum wage and all of these stuff, all of this stuff, okay? You guys are going to have a shock when it comes to the implementation of artificial intelligence. So there was some research done by Stanford. And early career workers aged 22 to 25 face a disproportionate threat to job loss from the widespread adoption of generative artificial intelligence, according to a research paper. These workers, in most AI-exposed occupations, have experienced a 13% relative decline in employment, said the authors of the research, published online on October 26, just 3 days ago. In contrast, employment for workers in less exposed fields and more experienced workers in the same occupation has remained stable or continues to grow. So in other words, folks, this whole battle over minimum wage to be a living wage is soon going to get replaced by AI anyway. I mean, seriously. You guys just don't seem to get it. Business is not going to accept the fact that they need to overpay somebody in a low entry-level job, especially when they can go and have something like AI, or in the case of McDonald's, when they can change over to technology and use a kiosk or something like that to accept your order. It's the same kind of concept that the whole self-checkout thing came into play. Oh, yeah, hey, let's put in these self-checkout lines. Rather than having and paying a checker to be there, we can have one person man probably somewhere between 12 to 15 stations all at once. That one person can just watch and make sure that everybody is doing what they are doing. Oh, that's a good one, Coco DeWhiskey. She says, am I real or am I AI? No, I'm Memorex. For those of you who remember that. But anyway, I'm just telling you folks, you guys keep complaining about this stuff. Keep complaining about minimum wage. Keep complaining about the cost of all this, and you want to get six-figure salaries and everything else. All you're doing is driving yourself into the ground. That's it. And as AI can do things like basic programming and things of that nature, telling you, boy, those hands-on jobs like, I don't know, plumbing, electrician, auto mechanics, things like that. Yeah, those are starting to look pretty good. All of those skilled labor jobs are starting to look pretty good, rather than your generic general studies or gender studies degrees. All right, folks. That is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Tomorrow night is Saturday, so I am 1 hour later, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Don't forget, on your way out, hit those thumbs up or thumbs down, whichever way you want to go. We will see you tomorrow night right here on American Perspective. And by the way, no, I'm not Max Headroom, although I would love to do something like that sometime, some video of me as Max Headroom. That would be awesome. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.